nights for a minute at a time with John and Niall, and I guess you just rhyme with Bat Minutes!
Attention, citizens of fair Gotham, and welcome back to Bat Minute Forever, the show whose victory is inevitable. I am one of your hosts, John Parker.
And if Batman Forever knowledge is power, then a co-host am. It's me, Niall McGowan. Woo! I'm back, baby.
Yeah, back in the house. People thought you weren't coming back,
Yeah.
but here you are once again.
I don't know why every week people are like, oh, thank God that guy's finally gone. It's like, no, I'm going to be here the whole damn run.
Oh, well, someone else who is returning. Two people who are returning. It's two fan favourites, but they've never been together before. It's a new duo. We have, I was going to say the one and only, but there's two of them. So we've got Kiri Callaghan and Omar Najam.
Hello.
Maybe we're like a Two-Face thing going on. Like one, we'll make that happen. There we go. Then we can be both two people, but also one. Also a Spice Girls song.
Oh my God, yes. That Spice Girls song is about safe sex, which is interesting, I think, for a pop song. But what you're saying is we need to, for the social media posts, splice the two of you together into one.
Yes, that's exactly
Yes.
in absolute seriousness. I need it.
I kind of am tempted to do that now. I'm terrible with any kind of Photoshop.
I
don't
might
even
be
have
able to
Photoshop.
do it, but I'm pretty sure Omar and my face are very like differently shaped. But if you truly did mimic some of my old photos, Omar, I could splice those together. I bet.
I have faith that this will work.
Okay.
We've always had like, it's so funny because I feel like we don't get paired up with vlogger stuff in general, but anytime that we have been in the same place, there is just this sort of like Steven Universe combination energy that we unleash.
It's weird. I feel like we should be more often. I don't know why we weren't, because we were both more on the cerebral side of things, but it never happened.
Yeah,
I
but
just
here,
didn't
but
see it.
now it is.
It is.
This is it. This
Dun,
is
dun,
the dream.
dun. It's gonna be a Wonder
You're living
Twins
the dream.
nightmare.
And you're here to talk about cerebral things, literally. The Riddler's stealing brainwaves.
He is.
Yes.
The thing is, this week for me is just like, it's my favorite week, but it's also the week I've got like, too many questions
Yeah.
about what the hell's going on here.
But the first one here is minute 109. The minute starts with unlimited power. And it ends with a little blind date.
Hey. And it's, we're back in the box office here, as it were, Edward Nygma's Sanctum Sanctorum, where he's boasting about his, been able to get access to Little White Lies, which apparently means he just doesn't have to pay the subscription fee to the magazine Little White Lies. People just read the articles and he sucks them straight out of his head. Like, it's amazing. What a lucky asshole.
I'll tell you what, do you get that magazine in America? It's a movie magazine. Is it just British? I don't know.
I've never heard of it.
Yes.
Oh, because it's a movie magazine. It's wonderful, but I read it and feel stupid.
Yeah.
It's very intelligent, and I'm sat there like, I think this is above me.
Oh,
It's very high end. I think it only comes out a couple of times a year, and they always commission like brand new artwork to be done with it. So they'll review like Crimson Peak, but they'll have like a beautiful original painting made to put on the cover and stuff like that. Like it's
And it's always themed. Like the whole issue's like got mad artwork all through it as well, isn't it?
It's brilliant. If I could, somehow bypass having a subscription to it, and then people just read
Just
it,
hop right in.
and then I just suck their brainwaves out, I'll be living the dream, much like Edward Nygma.
That sounds beautiful. Like I read reviews online like a plebe, so
I really enjoy, not to get too off track really quickly, but I really enjoy the BBC film podcasts.
Mark
that are,
Kermode and stuff.
Yes, because I love when they have to interview and talk about dumb American things because they're all trying so desperately to make sense of it. And it's just like, is this like a Terrence Malick approach? And it's always like the random like American they've thrown in to just be like, here's my popular weird film. It's just like, nope.
No.
I have the money. My family's wealthy. It wasn't a risk for me. It's just my favorite thing.
No. Well, I mean, like it's so weird approaching this movie because this is a big stupid American movie.
Yes.
And,
What?
In the best way.
How dare you?
but it's also as well because it's just like there's so much. It's so stupid, but I love this whole week. I love like.
Are
and
you?
Well, there's one thing I should get this out of the way too because I personally like this whole season. I've been giving Jim Carrey kind of crap for being up and down and side to side, and sometimes it's like, dude, just dial it back a little bit, would you? This week. I think he's hitting every note perfectly.
Right.
I love every choice he's made. I love the costume. I love the hair. I love the freaking swinging cane. But he has been very divisive with the guests. So, like, what do you guys think of Jim Carrey as a media entity? Like, are you both fans?
Oh.
Have you ever been fans? Were you once fans and then dropped out? Or
I am very excited that Jim Carrey was allowed to be whatever kind of actor he wanted to be eventually. I feel he very much got stuck in like the Ace Ventura mask, sort of like you will play sort of character, and I feel like that's sort of what this version of Edward Nygma fell to, where like this is how we see him and this is who you will be. Like one of my favorite movies of all time is Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. So
Good choice.
like that's a very non-traditional, like when you think of Jim Carrey, or at least when you used to think of Jim Carrey, it's not that, you did not think of that film. He's very talented. I love him in Series of Unfortunate Events. I'm very behind on it, where I feel like he kind of gets to be over the top, but he sort of plays more subtlety than he used to do in these sorts of characters. I think he's a very talented person. I think he is utilized poorly during a certain part of his career.
Well, it's what people wanted back then, isn't it? Whether we like it now or not.
Yeah. Oh.
But Omar, where do you fall with Jim Carrey then? Are you a big fan or?
You know, as a kid, I was, because like this is, I think, what I wanted my job to be when I was like a child, and I was just like, running around, hopped up on sugar drinks and stuff, where I was like, you can just do this, like you can just scream for a whole day and they'll pay you money. Like, and I don't even think I took the money
for
into consideration.
some people, yes.
Yeah. If only it could be for all of us.
So that dream, but I also think that he brought a very much needed camp to 90s media in general, because he did TV and stuff over here, but like especially with movies, whenever he did something, it was with the ferocity of Robin Williams, but without the sort of like this. NPR will later love this and talk about it, or people will drink tea in the morning and be like, I love Robin Williams, he's such a smart guy. And this was just like relentless and just for the sake of it being it. And I feel like that made an impression for a lot of us.
Oh God, yes, absolutely.
Silliness and zaniness for it. So I agree with Kiri that like it's great. I don't like, it's kind of like science, where you're like, is science good, science is bad? You're just like, well, science is great, but like it's really what we do with it. It's kind of with Jim Carrey's performances. You're just like, acting is acting. So we can't, say one way or the other. I am glad that it does exist, and I'm sure psychologists will be researching the effect that Jim Carrey's movies have had on us for generations to come.
I'm sure I'm still recovering. Yeah.
And I am sad that I feel like he gets a really bad rap for this performance, but this is not purely his character choices, like he was hired to be this character like this. Like maybe we should look at Edward Nygma as this absolute narcissist that he is. And, his whole thing is, I need to be smarter than Batman. And probably he would have looked at this whole idea of stealing other people's thoughts as, I can't, if I like stealing your thoughts won't make me more intelligent, it would dumb me down. That's how I've always seen his level of narcissism. And it's just, but that they went a different direction, and this is what Joel Schumacher wanted to do, I guess. I don't know.
Oh my God, now I want to see the version where the thoughts make him dumber.
Right?
And because it's making him more and more stupid, he doesn't realize it's happening. He just wants more. Yeah. It's like a drug.
Oh God,
yeah, it's like a
that's
drug.
what's happening to our country.
Oh no!
Oh no.
I mean, I shouldn't give in particular you, Omar, I shouldn't give you the ammunition, but one previous guest who had zero time for Jim Carrey was one Dale Kingsmill. So
You're joking.
Yeah, she absolutely despises him, apparently.
She really did.
why? But I don't want to get logged into this too much because there's a lot of really cool, like, Batman villains, the Rogues Gallery being, new gods and stuff, which is very interesting. But really quick, why did Dale not like Jim Carrey? Because I already have rebuttals prepared.
I just imagine there are note cards. Like, I need there to be note cards.
I mean, it was just because he's just flamboyant, over the top, and he just does not have a lid. Like, once you let the lid go off, there's no lid. So
now I
he's let it
understand why
off.
Dale doesn't talk to me much anymore.
I was gonna say I think that Dale is very defensive of her own territory in that regard, and I can appreciate that. I'm somewhat sympathetic to it.
Although
Hopefully she'll get over it.
I have to wonder, though, not to skip ahead too far into the minute already, but like, I think it's so weird because the stratospheric rise of Jim Carrey happened in like the blink of an eye, like from '94 to him coming to this point at late, summer '95. This guy's huge superstar, and he has a reputation already. And I can't help but feel him saying, like, was that over the top? I can never tell. Is him winking at the audience. Like, you know me, right? I just do crazy crap. I'm Zany Jim Carrey, It's so weird, like, because it's not in the scripts. Like, that seems to be a thing that was written on the day. And I can't help but feel that was, like, oh, no, he was... This was an effort to be like, we're all friends here, Everyone in the cinema knows who this guy is.
Or maybe that's him legitimately talking to Joel off camera.
I mean, maybe. I don't know. Like, it's very odd to me that I ever at one point, I mean, admittedly as a child and was not approaching this as someone who even had knowledge of the original Batman series. But looking back at this, I'm like, how did I ever not think this was meant to be just full on camp?
Right.
Like, this is literally, like, it's just missing the biff, whammo, like, when punches happen.
Yeah.
Right.
Although the fights are just so... You can't see him, and what you can see, you're like, okay, fight choreography, let's have a talk. Like, what's going on?
No, it's interesting you say that because, like, I think as you get a bit older, you start liking the movie again. When you're a kid, you like it. And then there's a period where you're like, oh, it's garbage, it's terrible. And then you get older and you get it. You realize what they're doing. And you're like, oh, it's fun. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, all I was going to say is I feel like we see the bones of this movie and specifically Jim Carrey's performance. I would say both Jim Carrey and Tommy Lee Jones's performances in comic book movies these days. And, like, in rewatching these minutes... and specifically this one, I was like, yeah, Lex Luthor in Batman v Superman was an attempt at this. It wasn't like a step above of like, hey, by the way, we're going to do this is what it should have been. It actually should have been a social media manager or whatever. But, like, in watching Batman v Superman, I was just like, oh, I see what they were trying to go for was this like maniacal off-kilter genius. I think they did it with Riddler. Like, you're at this point, we're just like kind of like chasing up to that bar and trying to reach it again.
Oh, I could actually see Jesse Eisenberg playing the Riddler.
I think he'd be better than he was at Lex Luthor, I feel.
Although, in talking about the whole over the top thing is during the week, because as of the week of recording, Joel Schumacher has just recently passed away, and there's been a lot of outpouring of tributes from actors and stuff. And there was a great one. I posted it in the minutes or the listeners' cave, but it'll be like ages ago now, so people might not remember. But Minnie Driver, who was in Phantom of the Opera, she was saying that when she was doing her rehearsals and stuff, she overheard like another actress going on about like, oh my god, she's just so over the top, she's awful and stuff. And apparently Joel Schumacher heard this and said, oh honey, no one ever paid for Under the Top, which is just like. One, I don't know if that's true, Joel, but also, it really explains a lot about this guy's approach to making everything, particularly
also,
in this
like,
week.
Who wants a subtle Carlotta? I don't, like, that's just, I'm gonna, like, so over the top. That's kind of the whole point of the character, but fair.
Yeah.
But even things like... because you were saying, Kiri, like, oh, Jim Carrey obviously brought in here and sort of it wasn't so much his interpretation as we think you already fit this mold that we've made for you. Mm-hmm. But weirdly enough, things like this, because I love everything he's got going on here. Like, I love this suit. I love like what they call the rhinestone hero suit, apparently, behind the scenes.
Right.
I really, really love his hair. Here's a question, actually. you get, particularly when he turns his head to the side and goes like, "We'll find out today," and you see it from the side, do you guys understand what the hell is supposed to be going on with the hair? Like why it is that way?
Because it looks cool.
I
Is
only
it-
found this out in. Oh no, go ahead, Kiri.
I was gonna say because it's making another question mark silhouette.
That's it. That's supposed to
What?
be
Yeah.
a question mark silhouette.
It's just it's
Really?
all. That's why he also has that weird little fake mole that's just a dot to his question mark eye. Like he's nothing but question marks.
Yeah.
Oh,
Like this
okay.
costume
I mean,
is like pure like. We know exactly what movie we're in.
when I had hair, it was kind of like that.
Yeah,
so
but
I like it.
that would be a hairdo I would attempt to achieve if I still had the strength of hair to do that. But
Yeah,
but weirdly
same.
enough, like it's one of those things. Weirdly enough, because it doesn't really, like I only ever found that out through when I got on the internet one time years ago, and I read somewhere, haven't seen Batman forever, like 15 years beforehand or something, and they're like, yeah, his hair is in the shape of a question mark. I was like, is it? Is that what that's supposed to be? Are you sure? But yeah, apparently it is. And originally the plan was that his whole head was going to be shaved into just leaving a question mark strip. And Jim Carrey, because Jim Carrey was very hands-on, and he helped design the suit. He was the
That's
one who
awesome.
insisted on all the cane twirling. That was his idea.
Oh, and that's my favorite bit in the minute. I love him swishing that around at the start
fantastic!
there.
Really, really great. And he was the one. Apparently, he wanted so much to shave his head in the shape of a question mark. He was going through a divorce at the time, and his manager had to come in and go like, "You cannot do that. You have to go to court, and you can't show up with a friggin' question mark shaved in your head. They'll throw you out. Like it'll look as if you're not taking anything seriously."
Imagine that version of Liar Liar.
Yeah.
He doesn't have to
Yes.
tell the truth. He's just got the question mark.
That's it. That's the only difference.
Although you can kind of see that that idea would be utilized years later by everybody's favorite Bat writer of recent note, Scott Snyder, and Greg Capullo. If you read Court of Owls, the Riddler has a little brief appearance in that, and he's got a question mark shaved into his head. So I'm wondering if that's what they're going for.
That
But-
is actually
I-
curious that you bring that up because his hair journey makes no sense.
no, no.
The length.
Like as the length, yes. Like but also a little bit of the coloring. Like as someone who does way too much to their hair. Like just watching it, I'm going, okay, first we went down to like this short, like kind of buzzed and it's bright orange, and then somehow like it's long and bright orange, but you've also like it's like somehow more vibrant than it was before. And I'm like, when did you find the time to do this? Also, do you like pump his arm and his hair grows? I'm just curious. Like, how did
He's
this
definitely
happen?
got like the world supply of manic panic.
Yes.
Yeah. Maybe it's kind of like those like Play-Doh trolls. Do you remember those
Yes.
from the 90s?
Yes.
Oh yeah,
I love that.
Just squeeze them together and then you get the hair. Yeah.
they totally should have had a Riddler troll. Like that would be perfect. You could put a little mask on him. That'd be great.
They possibly did. You know, we're long removed from the height of Trolls, despite them now being a movie franchise for some reason.
Yeah.
That's doing upsettingly well. Anyway.
I know, isn't that wrong?
Just like, I have feelings. None of them good.
Although when I look at his hair, I still kind of get weird. Again, maybe it's just an age thing. It's like that's kind of like a Jimmy Neutron thing he's got going on too. Like I
Little
wonder if
bit.
they saw it and they were like,
Yeah.
"Oh, we're gonna swipe that." Jimmy Neutron kind of had a question mark in his hair. Was that what they were going for as well?
Maybe.
Oh my gosh. Origin story.
Dun, dun, dun.
I know that you've already covered those minutes for this universe, but I think it really was a Jimmy Neutron sort of situation.
Oh, I love as well. Now, I think you mentioned it, of course, at the very, very beginning. But his voice when he says, into my head they'll go. Victory is inevitable, for if knowledge is power, then a god am I. And that, that, I had headphones on when I was doing my notes. Absolutely wet my pants. It was terrifying. And I never found it scary normally, but do it with headphones on, people. It's scary as hell.
Especially if you're not expecting it.
Well, it got to Batman too. He looks genuinely a little freaked out. Like what the hell? Like what?
Well, how's he doing that? And I like the way, though, they can't leave him like that for too long to help, to win the kids back, to placate them. They're like, right, then he does the silly, was that over the top? It's like, yeah, scary back into Jim.
You say
Scary
scary
to
though.
carry.
I guess maybe the effect comes across from the headphones, but I was just like, it's kind of like he's doing that burp talking that people did when
Yeah,
they
he
were
does.
kids. Like, I could never
Hey,
do
it with headphones,
but-
man. I'm telling you.
That was a 90s thing. People really did burp talk a lot in the 90s.
Yeah.
I think I did.
I don't think I ever could do it. I could only get to... Like, I was just doing a Grover impression, basically.
There's a lot of weird things that kids used to do that I don't see anymore. Like when I was at school, loads of kids had always turned their eyelids inside out.
I remember that.
Oh my gosh, you're right.
And thinking about doing it now horrifies me.
I don't think, well, maybe it's because we're not kids anymore. But I don't know if
Yeah.
it's like... Do kids just not do that again anymore? Or is it just went out of vogue? It was a 90s thing.
Maybe. If anyone has kids, write in. Let us know. Do they turn their eyelids inside out?
Do
I
they
need
play
to-
their
I need this
eyeballs?
info.
Yeah.
Now they're just
Or
like,
is
no,
it-
don't
is it
touch
like-
your face. Don't touch anything. Stop it. Stop it.
Yeah, right now. Yeah.
I also do wonder, though, again, because this isn't a scripted thing, that his voice goes really weird and deep and stuff. And knowing how, like, excited and active in developing certain aspects Jim Carrey was, I have a theory now about why this is here. Like, we mentioned last minute that, not in the original script, but in the novelization and in the game, there's supposed to be a thing when Edward Nygma turns around on his throne, he's grown huge into, like, this giant muscle man. And he refers to himself as Arnold Schwarzenegger. And later on,
Oh, dear.
it splits open and it reveals like it was only a suit, and he comes like slithering out in his normal, like, you know, in this outfit. And I'm wondering now, because maybe that was an idea that Jim Carrey was very enthusiastic about, that he threw out there like, oh, we could do this. And everyone was like, yeah, maybe. And somehow that got down the line to like the novelization people. So they put it in. But then eventually they're like, we're not blowing money on that. That's ridiculous. Like, God knows how much it'll cost. So then to placate him, it's like, well, Jim, we'll do something else. And then the best they could come up with is like, what if his voice does a really weird, scary, deep thing and echoes throughout? So it's kind of like he's a big, intimidating person, but then it's all bravado or whatever. It just, because there's no other explanation for it. Beyond that, it's just like he makes his voice go weird for some reason.
I love that you said that, because I've got a note. I mean, we talked about it before. I realize now you've said it. But my note is explicitly, like, this is where he should transform into an actual beast, like a video game boss.
Yeah.
Because, you know, in a video game, it's a bit like in, is it Arkham City, where the Joker transforms into a giant monster and you have to fight him?
Oh, I think that's Asylum. I think that's the climax
Is it
of
Asylum?
Asylum.
Yeah, because of the injections, right? Is it the Bane
That's it.
Yeah, the
stuff? Am I right?
Titan formula. I think it's like a modification
Yeah.
of the Venom or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, because in City, is he just in your head? Or
That's it. That's
Yeah.
why he's in your head, because he's dead.
the way they handle. Sorry, I know this is not really relevant to the minute as much, but the way they handle crazy / mental illness in this film, I think is the only thing that I was like not able to like laugh off.
No.
Yeah.
Because I just was watching this and going, no wonder Bruce Wayne can't go a single movie without having horrible triggers and being back in his parents' murder, because there's not a single decent psychiatrist in all of Gotham. The one that's not behind bars or working with like a supervillain literally uses the word wacko just very flippantly.
That is one
Shows
thing
up to
you
a
do
crime
not do.
scene in her nightie. And it's like I think her first diagnosis of Two-Face is something like someone with a trauma that much that would like split your personalities. And I'm like going, first of all, no. As someone who's like researched DID, there's so much no. But like she's like the concept of right and wrong would be completely out the window. And I'm like, I have so much problem with this on just like a basic psychiatry standpoint, but also on the standpoint of that was the whole point of Harvey Dent. Was like you could actually reason him into his good side.
Yeah.
Right.
And the
this one.
fact that the idea of right and wrong is completely gone for him, like just I was like so angry. I'm like every time Chase Meridian, which what a ridiculous name, opened her mouth, I was just like, please stop. Please stop. Please let's get
That's so funny you say that, because I mean we've had such a weird spectrum of like opinions on Chase. We've had, especially from women. Some people hate her, and some people are really into her and love her. I assumed all women, especially, would hate her.
I mean, I don't hate her for, like, the sex pot. It's literally like, you are terrible at your job and I'm upset about it. And you are harming the citizens of Gotham.
That's a Batman problem in general.
It
It's not
is.
even just Chase, is it?
No.
Like the way Batman deals with mental illness, it basically is going, well, if you've got a mental illness, you're crazy. You got to go and kill people.
And I'm just like, oh, no.
There's one thing actually as well. There's two things I thought of at some point in editing where I'm like, I have to try to get this organically back in the show because I want to have a conversation. Or one of them particularly I want to merchandise is that when I was editing episodes where John was talking about like, oh, the Riddler's a bit like the Zodiac killer and sending like ciphers to people and stuff.
Yeah.
And I was just like, oh yeah, blah, blah, blah. And then at one point in the week after editing that, I heard Ted Cruz speak on the news, and I was just like, my head was like, Ted Cruz is the Riddler. Because the whole Ted Cruz is the Zodiac killer thing. And I was like, damn it, I should have said that on the day. Because we could have had a whole t-shirt campaign of just Ted Cruz's face with the Riddler mask on it, and just Ted Cruz is the Riddler underneath.
Gosh, him just slammed into this suit.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
No, oh no, why would you do that? Don't, I have images I can't get rid of now.
Here's because
yeah.
we keep Hollywooding these villains, right? But like, if we were just like, if like the Coen brothers were like, we're gonna make a Batman movie, we're casting only like folks. We're gonna have like one or two big actors, but we're just mostly casting folks. If someone's at a gas station, it's gonna look like someone who would work at a gas station. We're not gonna worry about, it's someone's gorgeous nephew who wants a big break. So in that, imagine just like a Ted Cruz kind of guy just being like, I'm the Riddler, and you're just like, oh yeah, Batman, stop this guy. Please.
Well, hopefully Paul Dano
boy.
will be that. Because Paul Dano is just some guy. I know some people do have like a real... I remember going to see Little Miss Sunshine with my friend Jen. And she was like, oh, he was so gorgeous. I was like, the dweeby teenager?
Yeah, but it's like Boy Next Door, like sexy. Like it's someone. He looks like a real person. He's not
If
like a
if
model.
we ever do cover the Batman minute by minute, that is definitely going to be like, okay, no goddamn way you're telling me Paul Dano is supposed to be sexy.
He's got a thing, hasn't he?
Oh my God, he's
Yeah,
like a Who from Whoville.
everybody's got their own thing.
All right,
Yeah.
well, I can't argue that. That's fair enough.
It's one of those things. Like I think in the 80s, Molly Ringwald, she doesn't look like a normal model or something. She looks like someone you might actually have gone to school with.
Although in talking about, again, the second thing that I thought of in editing is like, I need to get that back in the show somehow. And in reference to people, everybody does have their own little thing. We were talking at one point about like, when the kids were doing trick-or-treating and stuff, like, how come they're not in like Batman outfits and stuff? Because Batman would be a merchandisable thing in this world. In the Dan Waters original script for Batman Returns, Batman was merchandise and stuff. People were hanging Batman ornaments around and stuff. But I was thinking then, Chase Meridian's really into Batman. If they merchandise Batman in any way, there's gotta be Batman porn. And if there's Batman porn, Chase Meridian's gotta have drawers full of that content.
Right?
She writes fanfic.
We've been saying the whole movie, like, the Batmobile in this kind of looks like a giant black dildo. They'd probably just make a dildo that was the shape of the Batmobile in that universe. Because they're like, well, we've all seen it. He's not got a patent on it. You can't, he's not going to land a copyright on us. So, of course, we're going to go make that product. But
People keep baiting him because they're just like, well, let's see who sues us.
Right.
We can easily
yeah.
find out whose trademark this is.
yeah,
Follow the money.
But that's that's a very interesting. I would love like a noir remake of this with Chase Meridian being the detective and like with like femme fatale vibes, because that's a very fun sort of visual that we've lost, like that like aesthetic of like the noir stuff we've kind of like scrubbed out of a lot of Batman stuff, to get to the very, what is it, the unwashed new version we're gonna get. Am I misquoting that? Do you know what I'm talking about?
No, I think that's what he said, wasn't it?
That's it. Yeah. So like that's great. But I would love,
Dude,
like,
we're in the
Chase
middle of a
like,
pandemic. Everything needs to be sanitized. Come on.
yeah, we need to do some rewrites on that film. But like a Chase Meridian like Harley Quinn novel would be turned into a movie, would be maybe my favorite Batman movie of all time.
Yeah, that's fair.
Hell yeah.
We'll do a new Batman movie, and it's
Yeah.
going to be an unwashed Robert Pattinson. That's
He's just,
Yeah.
He just needs to take a shower.
Because everyone just knows Batman by the scent. It's like, Bruce Wayne smells like a Batman guy.
Hey, let me tell you, if you're wearing that bat suit, it's going to be sweaty. You're going to smell.
It's rubber.
Extra vinegary.
Yeah. Some people are into that.
I mean,
Some people
yeah,
like the smell.
that's fair.
Actually, speaking of things people are into and whatnot, I have a problem with Edward Nygma here. Because he says, by the way, I've seen your mind, freak.
Yeah.
And I was like, hey, don't kink shame, man.
No, I had the exact same thought.
Yeah, and also Nygma, right? He's totally into some stuff anyway.
Yeah.
I bet he's like a furry or something.
Oh, God, yeah.
Maybe some femdom he likes.
I mean, he's hooked up with, Two-Face, who clearly has got a lot of polyamorous stuff going on behind the scenes. So, and look how much more flamboyant he's become by hooking up with a like-minded friend. Of course, Edward Nygma's coming into his own kink-wise. And, yeah, I think it's more just he's calling him freak, I guess, because he's like, you made me feel small one day. So even though I idolize you to the point where I was copying you putting on your glasses and taking off your glasses and stuff, not 25 minutes ago in this movie.
Yeah, that's great.
I'm going to call you a freak because I'm going to make you feel small.
Kiri, how can we spruce this up? How can we make it more accurate to the spirit of the law versus the letter? When instead of when like Ed Nygma's just like, I saw your mind, would it be like a hell yeah? Like
See, I think it's a matter of like, I think he just wants, I think you guys are on the nose. I think it is more of a matter of like, it's not a matter of him actually thinking he's a freak. He just wants to use shame against it, of like those things that you don't speak out loud. Shame is a very powerful weapon, as we've learned very much, especially again bringing it back to current times, where it's this where I understand it can be used for good in some things, but I feel like in general shame is this weapon we use against people every day, and ultimately it's a useless and it's a useless emotion. I highly recommend everyone get rid of their shame gland. It's never done me any favors.
By the show.
Exactly. It's never done me any favors, and I will jokingly shame, because I thought about this and you brought up the trick-or-treaters. I just want to briefly shame Alfred for not giving full-size candy bars. Because
that is shame.
Getting to the Wayne Manor, he has no neighbors. Look, there's no one there. Those kids went out probably hoping like, the Wayne Mansion? Yeah, that's got to be like the main house. And that's the pittance they get for coming out all the way to the Wayne Mansion?
A single Thornton's chocolate from the box. Although actually talking about rich people, and one thing I've not brought up the whole movie, and I guess now because, well, you heard this bit where Edward Nygma does his God am I, and there's a big friggin' echo throughout the whole room and stuff. Very notable, where this scene and several other scenes were filmed for Batman Forever. This Two-Face's hideout, I believe, and Wayne Manor were all filmed in the Spruce Goose Dome, which was the dome. It's in Long Beach, and it previously housed the Spruce Goose.
Yeah, like the plane, right?
Yeah, the Hercules H-4. Howard Hughes's... people don't know. Howard Hughes, eccentric millionaire, much like Bruce Wayne, much like Edward Nygma. Howard Hughes, he at one point during the war effort, hastened production on a huge, like a giant airboat, I believe he called it, which was, what was the exact measurements? It's like 98 meters wingspan. It cost $2.5 million back in like 1943. So it's crazy. And it was designed to hold across the Atlantic either 750 troops or two 30-ton tanks. And it was like 8 propellers on the thing. Giant friggin' thing. And apparently then it was he flew it once in 1947 just to prove that he could. He flew it for like a mile. And it was called the Spruce Goose because it was made out of birchwood, because during the war
they nicknamed it that. He apparently hated that nickname.
Yeah.
To which I giggle and go, cool, I'm calling it that.
Deliberately.
But yes, and because of restrictions on aluminium or aluminum for our American friends, they had to make it out of birchwood. But then, it was, after he landed it, it was housed. It apparently is still available to see now in the Evergreen Aviation Museum in Oregon. But the Spruce Goose Dome was opened in 1983 to house it briefly. Opened by Jimmy Stewart, of all people, which I guess is like Jimmy Stewart was in Philadelphia Story with Katharine Hepburn, and she went out with Howard Hughes, so I guess that's a connection.
Interesting.
Maybe that's how they met, and he's like, "Hey, I'll tell you what I'm gonna do. How would I don't know. I can't do a Jimmy Stewart impression.
I've been up to Oregon, and I think they would love a plane.
Oh, wait a minute here now.
Thank you.
Plane's pretty good.
Where you put the plane? No, you don't hide the plane away. It's a good plane. Don't let it go to waste.
Thank you.
But yeah, then in 1993, it was first used for a movie, Last Action Hero, the theater they're in. That was the Spruce Goose Dome. Last Action Hero, of course, starring Arnold Schwarzenegger. He was in the next movie.
I'm a huge fan.
Friggin', it's all connected. And then it was used for Stargate, Virtuosity, Jack Frost, the Michael Keaton Jack Frost.
What?
Oh, not the horror one.
What do they need for? Okay,
I
I
don't
have no
know.
idea. I literally don't know what they would be doing.
it's not. The
I haven't
most
seen that
intense
since
movie.
I was about 8. So.
And The Haunting, the remake, the Jean de Bont remake of The Haunting. And then
Okay.
now it's used by Carnival Cruises as their terminal building. But yeah, this is all within the Spruce Goose Dome. Now I'm bringing that up now because, and to evoke an ancient phrase used by a Geek and Sundry vlogger, I want you to put a pin in that. The whole Howard Hughes thing, because I think next episode I'm going to bring out perhaps the biggest It's All Connected on this show has ever done. I mean,
I am so excited.
it's just to get people
I am.
hooked
I
in.
can't think what it is.
Oh, it just never ended. I was going, holy crap! It just keeps linking up here, there, and everywhere. But I'll leave that for next minute because I don't have as many notes for the next minute, so it'll be a good one to do.
Okay, we should probably talk more about this minute. I'm sorry. Welcome to
There's
Tangent
not much
Land.
left, to be honest. We get the Riddler switching into a game show sort of host voice. Going,
Yes.
can Bruce Wayne and Batman ever coexist? Let's meet our contestants. And it just gave me a vibe of The Running Man,
Yeah.
but not as cool.
I did look in briefly to apparently the first game show to do behind curtain number 1 was Let's Make a Deal from
Oh, okay.
1963, hosted by some guy called Monty Hall. That might mean something to you two guys. I don't think it ever came over here. Let's
The
Make a
name
Deal.
sounds very familiar. I know of Let's Make a Deal.
Yeah.
That's all I can tell you.
Although in looking at it, they're saying apparently because it would just choose random members from the audience to be the contestants.
Right.
And people used to dress in really flamboyant outfits so they would be chosen. So I guess it's appropriate that he's doing it to Batman, who's dressed in a very flamboyant outfit, really. So, yeah, you know, as the contestant, I guess
Like
it suits.
you do.
It's so imitating pop culture stuff for villains is my favorite trope that I need to just trace back to its origins. It's such a thing that like now it's just like in our blood where it's like you want to be like an over the top villain, like you do that thing. And it's such a choice.
I'm wondering actually where it does.
It's certainly a choice.
I wonder where it does come from though, because like, I mean, in the first movie of this, like Jack Nicholson was doing like, "Oh, it'll be a hot time on the old town tonight," but I don't know. He's not referencing a specific person. He's just singing a song. Was it a '90s thing?
I think it's like lost. Here's what I love about it is like there had to have been some particular like impetus for it where they were like, let's say for example, this villain only listened to the radio for 3 years because they were trapped on an island. That's all they had. So like this is just part of their vocabulary. And then people were like, oh, that was very creepy. Yeah, let's just keep doing that. And so kind of like the Hannibal Lecter like listens to classical music because like despite being such a horrible person, he's a very elevated gentleman, and that's like a freaky idea. And now every villain is like, I'm not that interesting, but I listen to classical music, and you're like, okay, yeah, sure, all right. But it's something where like all the 90s villains did it, and they were just like I don't know, quote like future minutes. So I'm trying to think of another one, but it's just like would you like to buy a vowel? And like they pull out like a chainsaw, and you're like, what? I think we've lost the thread. I don't see what the thesis is. This isn't A plus B equals something. You're just doing the bit. So I don't know. It's just very amusing, but it works in this. Like I feel like the game show, because this one does work because it is a game show, except instead of winning like a boat,
It's
you have
death.
to save someone.
Oh.
With a life. And it is like a proper game show. It reminds me also of the game show we have here, Blind Date. I think there's an equivalent in America. What's it called? There is
I
one.
think it might just call blind
The
date as well.
dating game? Or...
If you
That's
don't
it.
date someone, they get dunked into
wait,
a lake.
Is it like a modern one? Because there's now that thing where like they...
Too hot to handle.
No, shoot. I don't know. Like they two people get paired up or something. I haven't actually watched it. I've just seen parodies of it.
I don't blame you for not watching. But they used to do that on our blind date show. It'd be like, let's meet contestant number 1.
yeah.
It'd be done exactly the same rhythm.
Although, yeah, so we got behind curtain number 1 is, it's just me. It sounds like he says the absolutely fabulous Dr. Chase Meridia. And it's like, Meridian, dude. Like, come on. Like, was this all filmed sequentially? And they're like, we're nearly done. Just like whatever he said.
He just doesn't
He's so
care.
intelligent. No, he's so intelligent now. He has no need to remember someone's name. It's pointless information. Doesn't matter. He's above it.
He's just shortening as
Yeah.
it goes.
Yet he's not keeping it in his mind, or like, because it looked like it was. Nah, that's going ahead. I don't know. The thing.
No, I like that. Some stuff should leave his mind. Like normal everyday things should be getting shoved out of his
yeah.
brain for all this information.
But like, there's that thing that we'll reference later that gets broken.
yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
so, which seems a very inconvenient place to carry all this knowledge you've pulled out of people's brains. I don't know.
Well, one thing, too, when they obviously reveal Chase in the tube. Little continuity
Chase in
error
the
there.
tube.
Chase in the tube. If you look down, of course, you see Batman there, and Spice is just standing next to him. Like, and then the next minute, she appears from, like, behind a corner or something. It's like, well, apparently she was there already. but for whatever, little continuity snafu there.
Bah.
I love that. I think that Spice just like remembered to go. I'm not saying the actor. I think that the character Spice remembered to go to her one. I think that's what happened. Was she was just like, oh, I want to see the reveal. Okay, great. I'll be back.
But yeah, I mean, like, there's obviously a lot more to talk about in this week. But any other notes out for this minute can be moved on to the next minute.
Yeah,
Dun,
let's
dun,
get on.
dun.
Let's get on. But Niall, there's something very important that needs to happen before we go. We need a riddle.
You folks might not be aware, but this season we have been posing. Well, I've been posing riddles to the guests and John, just to see.
And Sean.
I've got to try and guess them, and I think the whole season I've maybe got 2.
Yeah,
Oh.
that sounds about accurate. Not to put any pressure on you guys, but Dale Kingsmill answered this very, very quickly.
Well, that doesn't put pressure on me if I don't have the weird thing that they have going on.
But yes, so for this week's Riddle Me This. Not born, but from a mother's body drawn. I hang until half of me is gone. I sleep in a cave until I grow old, then valued for my hardened gold. What am I?
Sorry.
From a mother.
My brain is going like,
No, we got this. We got this.
okay, wait, hang on.
Let's work this out
Can you
out loud.
wait, can you read it again?
Yeah. Not born, but from a mother's body drawn. I hang until half of me is gone. I sleep in a cave until I grow old, then valued for my hardened gold. What am I?
Is it cheese?
It is cheese.
You did it!
Yeah.
I was
Oh
gonna
my
guess
God.
sourdough.
I'm like thinking about it going like, no, I probably just have cheese on the brain. 'Cause for a lactose intolerant person, I'm a little obsessed. But I'm like, the hardened gold, I was going like, okay, but wait, does it really hang? Now I want to look up.
You put cheese in a cave.
No, I know you age it, and like it was like the mother's drawn made sense to me. The thing I got hung up on was the thing about the hanging until half gone. I don't quite know what that means, but I was like, okay, milk.
It's kind of stale milk in a way.
Yeah, like milk, and then you age it, and like that all made sense. The hardened gold is kind of what I worked back from. of like, but what's the hanging referring to? I need to look up how cheese is made, y'all.
I want to say the word
hang cheese
tallow.
up, don't you?
I have a feeling that tallow is involved, but I'm not entirely sure.
Or maybe
Well,
this
that-
is bat cheese.
Bat cheese.
Oh, yeah. The nicest cheese of all.
Ew, no.
It's delicious.
I know guano is used in some lipsticks, but no.
I always associate guano with Jim Carrey.
Why?
Because Ace Ventura 2 has a whole thing about guano.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
does. Yeah, it's a whole bit.
And that's what taught me what that was as a child. I was like, oh, okay, yeah, it's...
I usually think of the Indiana Jones ride at Disneyland because the caves you go through are supposed to be covered in it. It's this weird iridescent, and I remember going like, "Is this really what it looks like?" as a child, and then looking it up, and I was
make
like, "Oh
it
yeah."
drop down onto kids' heads, like.
We should add that in.
I would
That's
be
an
that
easy imaginary
person.
trick.
I'd want that job of like, and they're like, "We can get a machine to do it." I'm like, "No, this is my pleasure.
Do it by hand, yeah.
This is hand churned guano."
Next, oh my god, this is artisanal imaginary guano. Next episode, I will tell you all about the Indiana Jones part of the ride that doesn't work anymore.
Oh. Well, we'd better get going now then. We need to get to that. We will head off into the dark, dark night. And would you both like to tell our listeners where you can be found online and anything you're working on at the moment? Who should we go with first? Kiri, you go first.
I am Kiri Callaghan. You can find me very easily on the internet by typing in Kiri or Callaghan, or actually probably both together. Otherwise, you'll get Kiri Callaghan, who's an amazing opera singer, or was in New Zealand. That's a tangent. Anyway, I'm on Twitter and YouTube, and I haven't been creating a ton because quarantine depresses me. But I did finish the first draft of my next book, so that is all up on my Patreon right now, and I'll be editing that, and keep an eye out for that. So yay. There.
Yeah.
And you, Omar?
I am Omar Najam. You can find me at Omar Najam on Twitter, as well as the podcast Thank You for Questing. We have some, speaking of Disneyland, we've got a Disneyland parody that we're coming up with and playing some RPG stuff in there with some other folks, Mia Rosella, Kelly Nugent, and Chris Bramante, and music by Annalise Nelson. So check that out.
Hey, do that, everybody. Check all of that stuff out. And check us out on Facebook at the Batminute Listeners Cave, Twitter at Batminute, and come to our Patreon. Give us just a couple of bucks. You get loads and loads of extra content from all kinds of different things. We're branching out into many, many fields here. You just get more crap, and it's wonderful. It's excellent. More crap. Stuff it down your ears. And we will see you again on Wednesday for more Batminute Forever.
Next time, Holy Caged Sidekick! A laced chase in a case causes concern on an ebony Avenger's face as a quizzical criminal consolidates control of his base. But while the horror of one hostage has our aghast hero in a lurch, how will he react to a bound bird boy been placed on the opposing precarious perch? Find out Wednesday. Same Bat Pod, different Bat Minute.
Ba-da-da, ba-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da.